This video is brought to you by the best wallet in existence. Stick around to hear more about Ridge and the discount that they're giving to our entire community. Also, the video is available ad-free in an audio podcast form on locals.com to monthly subscribers. If you enjoy the content, please consider the monthly $5 subscription on that platform to support the channel. Okay, so tech scalping is becoming a huge issue right now, and there is perhaps no better example than the PlayStation 5. That being said, even though the PS5 is the heavy-hitting, widespread face of the phenomenon at the moment, it happens all too often and is getting way out of control. Today I want to examine two recent launches, the RTX 3080, a new high-powered graphics card from NVIDIA, and the PS5. The RTX 3080 is, in my opinion at least, a little excessive, and also extremely confusing because previous generations costed a lot more for a lot less power. Though, to be fair, that's just how technology goes, faster, better, cheaper, etc. However, those that bought certain previous iterations of the card, such as the 2080 versions, might feel a bit of a burn as the new card dwarfs their purchase in a noticeable way in both performance and price. Still, that's not really the focus. The focus is launch day conditions and tech scalping, which has completely ballooned the price of these cards in a split second to, for certain orders at least, over 10 times the actual retail price and on average, at least 3 times more expensive than they ever should be. Before really diving in, you need a much better wallet because your current wallet might be giving you back problems. Scientific fact. Enter Ridge. Ridge wallets are like Obi-Wan Kenobi standing above Anakin Skywalker in Episode 3. I had this whole little performance skit where the wallets were the Jedi planned out, and I couldn't really get it right, though, sadly. I was going to cut my old wallet in half and play the Star Wars music, but then the copyright stuff came into play, and it was just this whole big disaster. But basically, Ridge is amazing. Sleek, industrial, room for 12 cards plus cash, super high quality materials, tons of different colors. You can test it for 45 days and then send it back if you don't like it. They're guaranteed for life. 30,000 5-star reviews, real ones, not fake botted ones like Raid Shadow Legends. And overall, it's a product I'm very, very happy to endorse and partner up with. Link down below to get 10% off your order using code Upper Echelon. Again, that's code Upper Echelon for 10% off your order if you use the link down below. It's really worth it, I promise. Now back to tech scalping. So the process itself is rather simple, and it's not new, not by any stretch. The issue is it's growing, and major companies are doing nothing to fight against it. If you go to the official NVIDIA store page, you can see the RTX 3080 for $700. If you navigate to buying options, you can see that the standard version is out of stock, and this was true mere minutes after the page opened for pre-orders. The method is really simple. On the one hand, there are those that wait diligently in front of their monitor or their phone screen clicking refresh at the exact time to log their order as quickly as possible. There's really nothing wrong with that. But on the other, there are bots. Scalpers and resellers have devised automated programs which will sit and wait to scoop up all of the products that they possibly can the second they become available. This isn't anything new. The concert and professional sports industry suffer from this worse than almost any other. The minute tickets become available, they get bought out and put up at higher prices by individuals and companies on other platforms. There are certain anti-scalping measures that companies will try to take sometimes, but largely speaking, they are losing the war, or at the very least, they have not had any meaningful or lasting victories that put any sort of noticeable dent in the phenomenon. Back to NVIDIA. The same thing happened here. The official page is sold out, but if you check out peer-to-peer auction sites like eBay, for example, it's a completely different story. Confirmed pre-orders are selling at roughly $2,000 or higher. $1,850, $1,750, $1,650, $2,000, $30,000 with 21 bids. 3,000 with bids, 9,000 with bids, and some of the more expensive ones at over $10,000 have since expired even when I was just surfing the page for this very video. The launch day market for these cards is a predatory cesspool, preying on user FOMO and creating an atmosphere of grossly overinflated pricing that is not only frustrating, but also might be actually illegal in the current state of emergency. Effectively, when a state of emergency is declared according to individual state laws, the regulations on price gouging change drastically. If we examine closely where in the United States these laws have been enacted, and this would also apply kind of globally to some degree or another, given that a lot of these resale sites and providers operate out of the United States, and also that other countries have their own policies regarding these laws. However, being from the United States myself, I'll stick to that region for right now. The point is, if we examine where in the United States emergency orders have been enacted, we can see that most areas are currently in a state of emergency. This is because of COVID-19, but there are side effects to this. Price gouging laws, a more aggressive term for scalping on a commercial scale, become much more severe and apply much more broadly. During a state of emergency, the law applies to all products and services if the state itself has any sort of regulation, and many states do have such laws. The definition and criteria of price gouging are also rather precise. Looking back 30 days prior to the state of emergency, if there is a sudden rise of 25% or more based on that previous average, it may constitute price gouging. And in a situation where there is no average to look at, the initial listed retail price seems to be the baseline. So what does this mean? Well, it means that a lot of people on eBay and other resale platforms are probably violating the law. I'm no lawyer, but the state of emergency orders are still active in most regions, and prices are inflated well above the cutoff of 25% markup. The previous retail price is the baseline, and many of these retailers operate out of states that do possess anti-gouging laws, which are currently active. Basically, if you wanted to, you could probably look up the price gouging hotline number for your area, such as the one for Florida, which I know for a fact has been activated, and you could report this behavior to them for penalties and sanctions. Up to $25,000, I believe, and jail time for multiple offenses within a 24-hour period. Although, to be fair, those metrics may vary a great deal based on where you are and, of course, how the case ends up going. Basically, you can actually take steps against them, I think, if you wanted to, owing to the incredibly rare scenario of nearly nationwide state of emergency orders, which, perhaps not even intentionally, affect the concept of price gouging as it pertains to technology products, such as the RTX 3080 card sales. Do with this information what you will. But even knowing that there might be some sort of recourse, we still haven't even touched on the worst example yet. The PlayStation 5 launch was a disaster. New product launches often are, but this time it was particularly bad. The reasons for this are numerous, even going back as far as the manufacturing cycle for the consoles, which was affected by the global pandemic. Sony claimed at one point that the pandemic would not affect their launch plans, which is technically true because it is still launching when they wanted it to, or so it seems, but the pandemic undeniably did create a component shortage, which is now resulting in a launch window that will see 2 million fewer units shipping than the PS4. Keep in mind that demand for digital entertainment during these lockdowns has soared to all-time highs, so the prediction of there being a drastically decreased number of console pre-orders, well, I don't know how you arrive at that logic. Combine this with governmental orders in the United States, at least, which created unemployment benefits higher than the actual minimum wage or average salary jobs that most families were working before the pandemic, and you have a higher user population currently than ever, many of them at home, some of them with extra spending money, and all of them seeking ways to combat boredom. That's not a let's ship 2 million less units at launch type of scenario to me. But regardless, that's the reality, and that's what has happened, so how'd it go? Obviously, it went horrible, but the main reason for those issues was not just because of increased demand, it was also execution, and obviously based on the title, tech scalpers. For some reason, retailers opened their pre-orders early, and this had a variety of effects on the process. One, the sites went live in a staggered way, not all at once. Walmart sold out, I think, within minutes, Target soon after, then Best Buy, which had issues for hours under the strain, and finally GameStop, which I think shut down entirely under the weight of traffic. People got into Amazon through a back door, is what I've been told, buying up all their stock as well, and the ultimate reality was that the PS5 had sold out completely before the actual date that the console was supposed to go live for purchase. No emails were ever sent, no proper plans made, not even a moderately fair chance at grabbing one for most people who had expected the actual release date to be adhered to, and the entire thing was a total disaster, except for a select few parties. Those parties are the scalpers, or rather, for our purposes right now, I'll just call them gougers. The gougers, in whatever number of their operational bot programs were successful, have hit a massive windfall, and much like the RTX 3080, pre-orders are now popping up all over the standard third-party resale sites. Units are currently going for around $1,000, many of them with actual bids, and as high as $24,000 for select postings. Same as the 3080, many of these people are probably violating local or state ordinance with actual legitimate penalties owing to the emergency orders, but the most important point is that Nvidia and Sony both do almost nothing to alleviate these issues. These two individual ships have sailed, that much is already true and probably cannot actually be reversed. But for future releases, I find it incredibly confusing that they do not devise some sort of lottery ticket system or anything like that for the initial stock, or at the very least, devise comprehensive anti-scalping programs to prevent mass orders for subsequent resale. It might be true that they try to do this, but it obviously fails. And with the console generation seeing larger demand, most likely, than ever before, with a smaller stock of initial consoles, these types of issues are made that much more severe by sheer volume. My point is this: I'm not a lawyer and I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong, but it appears there might be actual recourse this time owing to the pandemic lockdowns and the statewide emergency orders. The demand for tech products is higher than ever before, and 2 monumental releases were botched in a very, very small time frame, which will hopefully clue in these companies to the reality of tech gougers and scalpers being a massive problem in the space that negatively impacts their most loyal customers. Sony and Nvidia, among others, need to find a better system of dispersal for launch day hardware, and all of us need to not buy these resold items. Please don't, because doing so props up a sort of shadow industry and shadow economy that is disgustingly predatory from top to bottom. Find your local hotline, if it's enabled that is, and report the ones that you can, because through a select perfect storm of factors, scalping these 2 specific major releases might be something that can actually finally be punished. But that's it. If you want support, there are links down below: merch, locals, Ridge Wallet discount, social media, as well as another gaming YouTuber to support, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.